Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing well. I hope that you and your families are safe and sound and that you got used to staying home under the state of emergency in Morocco. Um, of course, we are not used to this, but we have no other choice but to adapt to the situation and avoid any gatherings um, that may just add insult to injury and make the virus spread more. So we need to stick home until this nightmare is over, and I think it will be over very soon, and life will be back to normal very soon, hopefully. So here I am again with another video in the series of videos on the business communication course syllabus. Previously, we have dealt with a number of topics and issues with regard to the course. We've dealt with writing a cover letter, writing an application letter, writing a business email, and finally writing an inquiry letter. Um, we talked extensively about the techniques and the formalities of writing these business documents, and I hope that by now you are more familiar with writing these documents, and that I hope that you don't have any problem now. But I think you need a lot of practice, okay? Theory alone cannot be enough, so you need to parallel theory with practice. Practice makes perfect, and the more you practice, the better your style becomes, okay? Some of you have sent me the homework and I have had a look at it, okay? Well done for a lot of you. But others haven't submitted their homework yet, and I hope that they will submit it very soon so that we can open some samples, some examples, correct them, and review a little bit the common mistakes you do so that you can avoid them in the future, okay? Now, our topic for today is writing a response letter, and this is my outline here, okay? This is what I'm going to be talking about in this video. So first off, I'll start with the definition of a response letter. What do you mean by a response letter? What makes it different from other kinds of letters? Then I'll move to talk about the structure of the response letter, and here the focus will be laid on the components of this letter, okay? Next, writing tips, some writing tips to be taken into consideration while composing a response letter. Then we'll talk about the you attitude style. This is a writing style that is very much recommended in writing business letters, especially response letters. We are going to define it. What do you mean by the you attitude, and how can we use it effectively in our writing? And finally, we'll have a look at some samples to familiarize ourselves more with the structure, with the style, with the language of response letters. So that's it, and let's start, okay? Now, the first question that I would like to start with is what is a response letter? And I think it is self-explanatory, okay? When I say self-explanatory, it means that the name says all about itself, okay? Response letters, we write a response letter to respond, okay, or to reply. That's why some people call it reply letter as well, right? So we write it to reply to an inquiry, to reply to a request, to reply to a complaint, or to any other kind of letters, okay? So basically, we write it to respond and reply. And the main objective of a response letter, as stated here, is to satisfy the reader with an answer that fulfills their request, okay? Some business letters need to be dealt with promptly, accurately, and politely. Now, these three adverbs here, as you see, they are highlighted with a different color because I think they're very important, and that's why I'm going to deal with each one separately, okay? Some business letters need to be dealt with promptly. When I say promptly, it means immediately, without any delay, because any delay can cost you a lot. Any delay can make your customer dissatisfied and unhappy about you. and probably then he or she will move to deal with another business. And here, the cost may be high for you, right? That's why don't take much time to write back. Okay, write immediately and preferably within the first 24 hours after you receive the inquiry. Okay? Accurately, now here we talk about the accuracy of the information provided. Okay? When you write back, when you write a response letter, you need to provide accurate information. You need to provide enough information to satisfy the needs of the inquirer. Okay? If you don't have enough information, then probably you need to seek help within your company or organization. You can consult or probably ask somebody else to help. You can ask your supervisor, your manager, maybe your colleague, or even your CEO. What is very important, after all, is just to supply and provide enough information that will be fulfilling and satisfying to the reader. All right. Now, the third one, politely. Some business letters need to be dealt with politely. Okay. Now here, what do we mean by politely? We basically mean the degree of politeness that you need to maintain throughout your letter. Okay. I mean the tone that should show in your letter is the tone of politeness, even if in cases, or even in cases when you are angry or unhappy or dissatisfied. Okay. You are not writing to vent your anger. You are not writing to insult or to blame. You are writing to respond to the needs of an inquirer. So do that in a polite way, okay? Businesses that respect their customers reply within the first 24 hours after the inquiry, okay? Any reply that comes after 24 hours is considered, according to the standards of business communication, it is considered a late reply, okay? So try to answer within the first 24 hours after you receive the inquiry, all right? That's it. Now, as far as the structure is concerned, when it comes to the components of the response letter, it is not different from the other types of letters we dealt with before, okay? All the components of a business letter are there. Now, let's have a close look at this example here. So as you see here, the letter has a letterhead, date, inside address, salutation, opening paragraph, the body, the closing paragraph, the complementary clause, the signature or the signature block, and then the enclosure. Now, as you see here, we have just the logo, okay? Now, in some companies, I mean, when they write letters, they have their letterhead already printed on the stationery with the full address and their contact information, like, for example, the email or the phone number. But in this case here, in this example, we don't have the address, we have just the logo, and probably this is because the company is well known and the receiver already knows where the company is and knows all about it. That's why they suffice themselves just with the logo. But in most cases, I mean, we find the letterhead customized in a way that shows not just the logo, but also the address, the mail address, the email address, the telephone number, and all the necessary information, okay? Now, as you see here, the body has multiple paragraphs, okay, not just one, and I think I mentioned it before. You're not obliged to use just one paragraph in the body. You can use you can use one or more, depending on the length and depending on how much you are going to say, right? The writer uses here bulletin to list information. And I think we mentioned this. We can make use of any graphic devices that word processing software provides us with, whether bulletin or capitalization or spacing or symbols, whatever graphic device you find suitable to make things clearer. All right. Now, if you read the language here, if you read the letter, I don't want to read it because this will take a lot and make the video very long. But if you read it, I mean, you will find that the sentences are short, the language is clear, and concise. Okay, we mentioned before, and we stressed, I think, the fact that we need to stick to the KISS principle, keep it short and simple. And if you read this letter, you'll find that the sentences are short and clear, right? Because what is important after all is the clarity of your message. Okay, so please avoid using long sentences, because the longer your sentences are, probably the more redundant and awkward your style will be. Okay. Now here we have another example, but this time it is an email, a response email. Now as you see here, we have the header of the email. We have the email address of the recipient, from, the email address of the sender, subject line. It's very important, and I think you know this. We said that when you write an email, the subject line is compulsory. You can't do without it, because it summarizes your topic and gives an idea about what is the email, what the email is about. Okay, so you need to use a subject line, and preferably it should be abbreviated without using too many articles. It should be as abbreviated as possible. Okay, and here we have the attachment. With emails, if you are sending something that is scanned together with the email, then we call it an attachment. You attach it and send it along with the email. But if you are sending other documents with the letter, that is called enclosures. You write enclosure here, or enclosed, at the bottom of your letter, and then you mention the names of the documents being sent along the letter. Okay. Apart from the header, the salutation, the body, etc., is exactly like a letter, right? The full blocked format style is used with all its characteristics. Okay, there is a colon after the salutation. There is no indentation at the beginning of each paragraph. We distinguish between paragraphs by a double space after each paragraph. So the blocked style format is used. Okay, preferably in the full blocked format style. Don't, again I repeat it, don't justify your paragraphs at the end of each line. Okay, now as you see here, they're not justified. Okay, all the paragraphs are keyed flush on the left side. Okay, again, the same thing that we said about the language of the letter we dealt with can be said about the language of this email. It is very clear. The sentences are short. The language is very formal. There is no use of contractions, short forms, like, for example, instead of you are or his, we say you are, he is. So these contractions are not considered formal, and try to avoid them when writing a business letter or a business email. Okay, what else about the form? All right, so that's it. We are going to talk more about the form when we talk about writing an apology letter, writing a complaint letter, good news letter, bad news letter. Okay, so we are going to learn more about the forms of business letters in general. All right, now here I have some writing tips that you need to take into consideration while writing a business response letter. Okay, the first tip or the first advice is be positive. Be positive. Respond in a friendly, upbeat, cheerful, yet professional tone. I said it before, even in cases when you are unhappy or dissatisfied, you need to maintain a friendly tone, polite tone, okay? Otherwise, you will not achieve the objectives of business communication. Correct mistakes politely. Correct mistakes politely. All humans are prone to err, okay? Erring is characteristic of humans, so everybody makes mistakes. So whenever you are correcting mistakes, don't do that in an impolite way, okay? Correct mistakes politely. Don't blame or argue or insult others, right? That is not business communication. Business communication should be done in a very diplomatic way, okay? Be transparent. Now, transparency here means stating your name and position with the business. If you are writing on behalf of a business organization, state what is your position in that business, okay? And of course, your name, right? So that you assume the responsibility of what is written, okay? Personalize and humanize your business. What does it mean to personalize, personification, and humanize, okay? When you're writing about your business, try to use personification, okay? Like, for example, saying, my company or our company thinks a lot about the benefit of its customers, okay? Now, when you say our company thinks a lot, now thinking here is characteristic of human beings, not companies. But when you personify it, okay, and attribute this characteristic of thinking to a company, I mean, if you are the reader, you will like reading something like this, okay? When we say, for example, our company is keen on meeting the needs of its customers. Now, when you say something like this, you personify the company and you deal with it as if it were a human being. And readers like to read something like this, okay? Be honest. Honesty is the best policy, okay? Own up to problems and mistakes. If there is any mistake you or your company committed, you need to admit it. You need to own up to that mistake or problem, okay? Inform customers when and how you will improve the situation, okay? Inform customers when and how you will improve the situation. That's honesty. If you are going to do something about the problem your company caused or you personally caused, what corrective measures are you going to take and when? Okay, so the reader should know this. Be timely. When I say timely, we're talking about responding very, very quickly within the first 24 hours, as I mentioned before, because any response later than 24 hours can be considered a late reply, okay? And when it is late, it's late, okay? You can do nothing about it. So try to be immediate and prompt in writing back. Be helpful. Point users to valuable information on your website or other approved websites, okay? Try to show that you are helpful to the user or to the customer or to the person you're writing to in general, okay? Follow up with users when new information is available. If you receive new information about the inquiry, you can write again to the inquirer telling him or her that here we are again sending you new information that we have just received or something like that, okay? And in this way, you will, you will build a very good image and very good reputation, not just for you, but also for your company, okay? So these tips are very important to take into consideration while compiling or while composing a response letter. And I hope we will have them in mind whenever we are writing a business letter or email or whatever. Now, the U attitude, I mentioned in the beginning of this video that the U attitude is a writing style that is recommended for business communication, okay? Now, what is this style and how can we use it, right? The U attitude is a reader-centered writing style in which you look at things from the reader's point of view, okay? You put yourself in the shoes of the reader and you look at things from the reader's point of view not from your own perspective, okay? The you attitude makes the reader feel that he is the center of concern, or he is the center of this communication process, okay? But if you keep using I and we, then probably you will look like you are egocentric and you care just about yourself and your company, while the reader is not that important. Okay, so that's why the you attitude is recommended. The you attitude emphasizes reader benefit. The you attitude is positive. Okay, the you attitude protects the reader's ego. When you keep referring to the reader as you, okay, then you will enhance his you will enhance and protect his ego, okay. Now examples, here we have examples of I we attitude, I or we attitude, which is not required, which is not recommended, okay, you should avoid it, and the you attitude, which is of course required and recommended. Now look at this sentence here, I we attitude. We have shipped your order of March the 23rd. Now, this is not a good sentence in a business letter, right? We have shipped your order of March the 23rd. It implies a lot of things. It implies that we have done you a favor. We have exerted a lot of efforts to ship you your order of March the 23rd. So this shouldn't be like this. Instead of saying this, you can say, your order of March the 23rd is heading your way, is coming your way, or is heading your way, okay? And here, instead of emphasizing yourself, you emphasize the reader, okay? Your order, by using your or you. I we attitude, now here is another example. We inform you that we have accepted your application. All right, you need to be very thankful to us because we accepted your application. Okay, again, we have done you a favor and you need to be thankful. This is what it implies. Yes or no? I think so. I think yeah. Okay, now it should be something like this. Congratulations, your application has been accepted. All right, so here it's the reader who is emphasized, not the sender. And I hope I made it clear. I hope now you understand what do you mean by the you attitude, and I hope that you will try to avoid using the I we attitude in business writing, especially in response letters. Okay. Now, finally, let's have a look at some examples of response letters and take a look at the format first, and then we'll see the style and the language, okay? Now, as you see here, we have a letterhead. It is already printed on the stationery, okay? It is already printed on this paper. And I said that it is customizable. You can customize it the way you like, provided that it should contain enough information, enough contact information about you, okay? Your name or the name of your company should preferably be written in bigger fonts, okay? Then the telephone, the address, the email, the fax, why not, and all the necessary information. April the 24th, 2012, that's the date, then space, then the inside address, then space, then dear Mr. Durante, colon, so the salutation. Here we have the subject line, okay? Subject, your April the 19th letter about your purchase order. So that's the subject. He's going to respond to a letter about a purchase order, okay? With the exact date of the letter and the exact topic of the letter or idea in the letter, which is purchase order. Then you have the opening paragraph, the body in which we explain in more details, okay? And of course, the concluding paragraph in which we can either call for a certain action or summarize the message or just close with a concluding thought. And then the complimentary close, the signature block. Now, if you are writing on behalf of a company, as I said before, you need to use your name and your position in that company. Distribution manager, like here, Kimberly Patel, okay? Distribution manager. If you are writing on behalf, I repeat this, if you are writing on behalf of a company or an organization, you need to write your name in the signature block together with your possession or your identification in that company, okay? In the first paragraph, the writer announces the good news immediately, right? Now, if you have good news, try to announce it immediately, right? Don't keep it until a later time or until a later paragraph. State the good news immediately. That's what we want to hear. If it is good news, we can't be more patient to receive it. So we want to have it immediately. In the second paragraph, regains confidence of customer by explaining what happened and by suggesting plans for improvement. Okay, now here the writer is trying to regain the confidence of the customer and suggesting corrective measures to be taken to satisfy the customer. Okay, in the third paragraph or the concluding paragraph, he closes confidently with genuine appeal for customers' respect. Okay, let's read this. Your respect is important to us, Mr. Durante. Although our rock bottom discount prices have enabled us to build a volume business, we don't want to be so large that we can touch with valued customers like you. Anyway, so it's not very clear to read here, but it seems that the writer of the letter is very confident and trying to maintain the receiver's respect. Okay. Here is another example. As you see here, we have the letterhead. Okay, it is already customized and printed on the stationery of the company. Then the date, the inside address, the salutation. Okay, the opening remarks, the body, and positive closing remarks. Okay, sincerely, Wilfred Schroeder, circulation editor. So I think I said it. If you are writing on behalf of a company, write your name and your identification or your possession. Now, positive information given immediately. As I mentioned in the first example, when you have positive information or good news, mention it immediately, okay? Convincing information, right? When you provide information, the information should be convincing, not just hollow talk, not just blah blah, but it should be very convincing, right? Free trial subscription offered as sales appeal, right? The writer is trying to satisfy the customer by giving him free trial subscription. And at the end, positive close, okay? You should receive your first free copy of Professionals in Business next week. The lead article, Investing in Yourself, is especially interesting. All right. Maybe you can stop the video at home and read these letters at your pace to see how the language is used, how clarity is established, how politeness is maintained throughout the letter, etc., etc. And of course, I'm going to post these letters in a clearer format on our Google Classroom very soon, of course. That's it for writing response letter. I hope things were clear. And of course, as I post the video, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to send them, to write them, and I'll be very happy to respond, okay? Immediately, within 24 hours, of course. That's it for today's video. I hope it was clear. Thank you for watching and take good care. See you with another video.